Right, so we got a rousing speech from Ursula von der Leyen, who is going to protect us economically from those evil Americans. Now, I personally didn't vote for Ursula, but I am glad that she takes this situation seriously because I do empathize with her. I do understand where she is coming from. Like, she doesn't like the fact that the US is setting tariffs on the European Union, right? So I, as a member of the European Union, understand the pain and the hardship when the European Union puts taxes and levies upon me. Like, I know how difficult that is. I know how demanding it is to now have to work more for less. And so, again, I'm looking at what's happening, and I definitely understand. Yeah, it's not nice when someone else puts more taxes. I assume that she's getting phone calls from, people she actually listens to, like business owners and powerful CEOs and other politicians with vested interests. And they're basically telling her, it's like, look, it's unacceptable now where we have to work more for less. And like that is a feeling that is of mutual understanding. Especially when the European Union, for instance, increases our taxes or prints more money, or they sometimes decide to push various environmentalist policies, right? When they push for bureaucracy, which also translates into making stuff more expensive. Like, for instance, being GDPR compliant, right? Like, now usually most businesses have to pay someone that delves into the knowledge and understanding of GDPR in order to make it compliant. So unironically, I do get where she is coming from. Now, the Americans did say, it's like, look, you're tariffing us, and so we're going to have this thing called mutual tariffs. Like, if you stop tariffing us, we stop tariffing you. But Ursula goes like, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to dominate the United States. We're going to dominate your economy, right? Because we are like a huge powerhouse. Like, we dominate the world in manufacturing and in military might and all these other things, right? Like the science in the European Union. We got like the best AI, the best social media, the strongest internet on planet Earth. And so we can actually do go to war economically with you, and we're going to dominate you. So, like, she's announcing more tariffs. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, cars, and parts. And they plan to extend duties to semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, and timber. We expect further tariffs on almost all goods, affecting many countries worldwide. Again, I like her doubling down. It's like, no, we're not going to remove tariffs. We're going to tariff even more. So she then says that they're going to remove barriers, grow our scale, and boost competitiveness. Now, for those of you that actually follow world economics, you would realize that I think it was 2010 or so, the European Union's economy was very comparable to the one from the United States. Like, the life of the average European and the life of the average American was compatible in a lot of metrics. However, ever since that day, something happened. New policies came, new decision-making, brand new visions for the future. And that also brought a lot of bureaucracy. Like, when you think about the European Union, they have to regulate everything from the shape of the banana to the length of the wick candle, like everything. All this bureaucracy stifled competitiveness and innovation. And so the Americans are now a lot richer than us. Like, Europeans just don't know how rich Americans are compared to us, and Americans also don't know how poor Europeans are compared to them. Now, of course, it's not at all the levels. Like, you still have income disparity, so some people are richer than others. But if the trend continues, if the EU keeps up with the bureaucracy and the constant legislation, and especially the environmentalism and the Digital Service Act and all of that shit, I personally don't see how they will do it. I don't see how they will be competitive with the United States. Maybe they will pull it off. I don't know. But right now, what I do know is that if I was a young entrepreneur and I wanted to open a new business, well, it's more likely that you'd open it in the United States. Like, if you have the money to do it in the US, right, you can go to Texas or Florida and open your business there. versus opening your business in France or heaven forbid Spain. I mean, it's not even up for debate. It's not, right? So, unless the European Union wants to dial down on the bureaucracy, then sure, but I don't see how they will. And given my knowledge of European history and how the way the continent operates, if they were to dial down, they would only dial it down for a select few. Like they would dial it down for a select few industries, for a select few interest groups, maybe for a select few nations, right? So like it would be possible in Germany, but not in Hungary, that type of thing. Again, this is just my assessment. Hopefully I'm wrong, like hopefully Europe is going to overtake China in manufacturing and chip processing. Like we won't need Taiwan anymore because France is going to come up with the new model of graphics cards for the new AI race. Maybe that will happen. Who knows? But what we do know is that Ursula von der Leyen says that she doesn't want the trade war. The United States-EU trade flow is nearly balanced, but let's be clear, we didn't start this. If needed, we have a strong retaliation plan and we will use it. Again, my understanding, and this is like public knowledge, this is not something that I found out on an obscure website, is that Donald Trump made it very clear. If you drop the tariffs on us, we drop the tariffs on you. Now, you say you didn't start it, but like you can just drop the tariffs. However, like maybe different negotiations are behind closed doors. Maybe Donald Trump is saying, even if you remove the tariffs, we're going to still tariff you. I don't know. But I do empathize, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, because yeah, like being taxed, feeling that you're working far more and making far less, it's not good. No, I get it. I really get it. And look at what people are saying, right? Like the European Union should completely stop using Google, Meta, Amazon, and other US-based software. Now, I understand the sentiment, right? America evil all of a sudden. Like, when Joe Biden was in office, if you said anything negative about the United States, then you would be pro-Putin. It's almost like Putin was your stepdad or some shit. But after J.D. Vance went in the European Union and shamed the aristocrats, I think he called them commissars, didn't he? Yeah. Well, after that, all of a sudden, if you say that America is good, now you're pro-Putin. So we noticed a reverse in the way of thinking. However, I get it. Like America is bad now. Everything that's coming from the Americans is tainted. It's icky. And so we don't use their social media, right? We don't use Google, Amazon, Facebook. All right. What do we use instead? What are our alternatives? Like, are we going to use the Chinese software? No, we don't, because China is bad too. Okay, are we going to use the Russian software? No, we don't, because Russia is bad. Okay, so like, what are we using? Do we have our own? No, we got GDPR. So for those of you who don't know, the main reason why it's very difficult to have social media in Europe is because of GDPR compliance. It's incredibly expensive to be GDPR compliant. And so most companies don't do it. Like the European Union was at one point starting to develop its own social media, which should be natural. Like every single other nation on earth that's large enough has its own social media. Even Brazil had its own version of Twitter, which is why they could afford to shut down Twitter. Japan has its own version of YouTube. It's got its own version of social media. Almost every other major nation has its shit except for the European Union, because we got GDPR, right? The same thing with the AI. Now, I used to say something that apparently wasn't true, that the European Union doesn't have AI. And apparently it's got mistrial. But from my understanding, they want to move to California. Why? Well, because we have regulations on AI. We got the first AI legislation in the world, amongst many others, right? And so, like, I would love to see, no, I'm not even kidding, like, I would love to see the European Union finally dropping the bureaucracy and just allowing innovation and creativity to take place, because we do have the potential. Like, Europe is a massive continent with different people, different ways of thinking. Like, we would actually have the potential to rival the Americans, to rival the Chinese. Historically, we have, right? But you can't with this level of bureaucracy and this level of taxation and the obsession with sustainability. So let me get this straight, right? Like, we're focused on environmentalist issues, so our industry gets fucked, but we're importing shit from China where they're polluting. Like, help me make sense of that. No matter how I look at it, it doesn't fucking make any type of sense. And so yeah, all in all, it's a little bit concerning. And it's also the fact it's like, oh, we're going to talk with other trade partners. Like who? Who? Because the whole joke about it is that the European Union are the isolationists. Like, okay, America is bad. We're in a trade war with them. Okay, fine. It is what it is. We didn't start it. Okay, we didn't start it, but we are in the trade war, de facto. All right. Russia. Oh, Russia invaded Ukraine. Okay, so we can't trade with them, right? Like, Russia bad. We don't trade with them. Perfect, acceptable. Like, you don't have to trade with everybody. China also bad. We can't trade with them. Okay, why? Because they're tyrannical, right? Like the Uyghurs, the tyranny over there, they censor. Like China censors the internet. The European Union doesn't censor. They believe in free speech and human rights. So who are we dealing business with? Are we creating stuff? No, we're not creating stuff because we got bureaucracy. Most of our entrepreneurs and our unicorns, they're going to the United States because it's a lot easier to do business there. And we're not the isolationists. It's Donald Trump that's the isolationist. At some point you can afford being an isolationist. Like if your nation is self-sustaining, you can actually be an isolationist. Are we self-sustaining? Like, do we manufacture chips? Do we create our social media? Because apparently, like, we gotta stop using YouTube, Google, and all the others because they're Americans now. Okay, let's have the Great Firewall of Europe. Perfect. What do we use instead? But like, this is the propaganda that most people buy into. It's like Europe is amazing and we should stop using American social media. But they don't realize, like, the catastrophic consequences that would befall on the economy. Like, a first world nation requires social media to function. To advertise, to communicate, to do business. Unless you want to hit us back all the way to the year 1950, like, I don't know, right? It is what it is, I guess. I didn't vote for Ursula. Hopefully the next person is going to earn my vote, right? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe she does such a good job that I will vote for her next time. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.